Welcome to the AVAIL podcast, where we dig deep and talk about the art of leadership. My name is Virgil Sierra, and today we're sitting down with Todd Hoffman. Todd is the creator of Gold Rush and Hoffman Family Gold, two wildly popular TV series that follow the Hoffman family as they save a struggling gold mine in Alaska. In the off-season of the show, Todd also runs a drug and alcohol treatment center. Today, we'll discuss the upcoming season 3 of Hoffman Family Gold, discuss how the show has changed since its inception, and get insider information on what the shooting of the show is like. So lean in, leaders, and let's get started. Back, everybody, to another episode of the AVAIL podcast, where we dig deep and talk about the art of leadership, where we connect with leaders, we connect with authors, we connect with influencers, we connect with people who are making a difference in the community for the kingdom. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Virgil Sierra, lead pastor of Vertical Church, aka Iglesia Vertical in South Florida, and I'm your host for the AVAIL podcast. Today, we got a special guest, everybody. We got Todd Hoffman with us, and if you don't know about him, you're going to know about him and some amazing projects he is a part of. Todd, how does it feel to be on the AVAIL podcast, brother?
It feels so good, man. It feels so good. Thanks for having me, Virgil. I appreciate it, and look forward to having a little chat.
I like this because, Todd, you have you're a little bit different than a lot of our guests. You're a little the same and you're a little different. The same, you have a heart for God. You want to make an impact in this world for the kingdom. However, the door and the avenue that God has opened for you and he's using in is through producing these shows that are reaching a lot of people. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to want to lean in and tap into it. So before we jump in to the upcoming season of your newest program, before we talk a little bit about Gold Rush, which is the first one that you were a part of, and obviously today we're going to focus in on Hoffman Family Gold. Can you share a little bit about yourself, about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing now?
You know, I grew up, I was born in Germany. My dad was in the Army. I'm going way back here, but I'll try to speed it up. But I grew up in Northeast Portland, kind of lower middle class family. My dad was, in a little church and was an elder. So I kind of grew up in the church, and we went to public schools and eventually got into private schools. And, I played a little, believe it or not, before I got fat, I played some college basketball, but I always had this idea, man, to do some TV and I wanted to maybe make some documentaries. And so we started down that road, and then through different businesses and everything, I had to start a little tiny company, and then was able to put a show together and pitch it to Discovery Channel. And that was, the beginning of Gold Rush. And so I did that with a British company. So that's why you see our crew was British for a lot of years. Now I'm with Lionsgate, which is, an LA company. But, the ultimate goal was always to try to share our faith. And then when you're entrapped in a reality show with like real things going on, like fights and, you realize that this is really hard. Like there's pieces of your life that people get to see and judge, and it's like you're thrown into a cage and there's a stadium around you. And, there's things that you wish, like, man, I didn't represent the faith right there. But then there's other things where you felt like you really did represent the faith. And I think the takeaway as a whole, people watch your whole body of work. They know we love Jesus. They know that we have conservative family values, but they also know that I don't put gold over the love of my team and the love of my people. So those are the things that I hope people take away from our show. Through difficult times, we rely on Jesus. I have a deal with Warner Brothers, and that is they have to, if I have a prayer, they will not edit it out. They'll integrate that into the show. So this upcoming season, you're going to see some pretty special prayers. One of them by my father that's like pretty cool because it's a very very intense season. It's like probably
Mm,
my best and my hardest season ever. Like good things and bad things both happen in this
mm.
season. I can't. They'll get ticked at me if I give away too much, but it's intense, man. Virgil, talk to me. I need some therapy.
Hey, I'm your brother. I'm a friend. I'm a pastor. I'm here to encourage you. Uh, and I
Yeah,
think you know what. One thing I will say, Todd, I think that all of us. It's so important to find our unique calling in the Lord, and everybody's got a different calling. We're all a different part of the body, and you have a unique calling on your life. You and your family and your team, you have a unique calling to do something that not a lot of people in general get to do, much less uh, faith filled, God believing, Jesus loving people. And so I think that's important. I would love for, because I want our audience to lean in. There's many who know about you, and maybe some who are getting to know you and want to know you more here. In a moment, we're going to get to the new season of the Hoffman Family Gold. But can you mention a little bit about what led you to create Gold Rush, which was the previous show? And then I know that something happened along the way that caused you to kind of step away from that,
yeah,
and that was probably a process, right? Probably took some faith as well. Can you talk to us about that, and then we'll jump into the new season that's coming up?
yeah. So when you start a show like that, you're the creator, but like they really hesitate on trying to make you the producer of the show as you're a character in the show. Plus, I'm from Sandy, Oregon, right? They're all from LA and New York and London, right? So you're always kind of getting pushed down a little bit as far as in the production of the thing. But the British really know how to do TV, and I learned all the pieces of the puzzle from the contracts with the networks to dealing with the production, dealing with in the field, all the different shots I need. I know, I mean, it's like a doctorate in putting a TV show together. So you learn all these pieces, even though I'm in there mining. I'm still having arguments with my son or my dad, and then at the end of the day, I have to like meet with the TV guys, and they say, "Hey, you did this. We got this. Your sound wasn't working here." I have to like tell them like, you know, what stories to cover because you have to piece this thing together so that
Mm-hmm.
it's a coherent story, not just a bunch of clips of, oh, this, that, and the other. So it's a tricky balancing act, and I learned that
Mm.
from the Brits during the first few years of Gold Rush, and then you get 6, 7, 8 years out. The old guys. You've seen these companies that kind of you know. So it was kind of a
Yeah.
mutual thing. It's like they want to bring in some new blood. They feel like maybe Todd needs a break, and I feel like I need a break. I need to be more at home, be more present with my family. So I step away and then come back with Lionsgate, which is Pilgrim in LA. And I'm able to work with the guys from like Deadliest Catch, not Deadliest Catch, but Wicked Tuna is my group, and so like I met some of the best guys, and so then with my knowledge base and with their expertise, we gotta just we just have a better show in my estimation. I believe that Hoffman Family Gold is actually shot and produced better at this point. I think it's on par, if not better, than Gold Rush, and a lot of that is more heartfelt. It is more time.
Yeah.
I want to develop instead of just a highlight reel, and going from this guy to that guy, and this guy throws a wrench. This guy, I want people to see a little bit more of the characters and our hearts, and we hope that comes through. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
For those who are kind of leaning in and listening, Todd, to this interview, talk to us and share a little bit about Hoffman Family Gold, the show. What is it about? For somebody who's maybe a newbie saying, "Oh, I'm hearing this Todd Hoffman guy on the AVAIL podcast. I'm interested. Where can I see this?" And also, what is it about? Is it a reality show about you? Is it your family? Give us a little context.
It's basically our family trying to get out there and get some gold because we believe that inflation's going to go rampant. We believe that the United States dollar is in a very bad situation. Every 100 days, 110 days, we add $1 trillion to the debt. I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but for me, I love gold and I would love to, use that as a hedge against inflation. And so, it's kind of a philosophy of our family that we love gold. Now, getting it out of the ground isn't easy. There's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong. And as you've seen over the years, I have the ability to make everything right and tell you uh, anything I want. You don't know. The audience will not know, right? I like to
Right.
let it ride and just say, hey, if I do good, I mean, I went to the jungle and came out of there with 3 or 4 ounces, right? I mean, talk about a dismal, you would call that a dismal failure, but there was a part of me is like, dude, I need to say I got 500 ounces at least so I could not lose face, right? But you just let it ride. And there's something crucial that I got to say. The very last line, as I'm getting in the plane and I'm flying out of the jungle, and my producer's like, you need to give us 3 endings. I'm like, no, I'm not giving you 3 endings. He says, you're going to give me 3 endings. And I said, oh, really? I'm going to give you one ending, and that's my ending. And I talk about I've had struggles in my marriage, and like God gave me a second chance in my marriage, and I hope that He'll give me another chance to mine again. And I wanted that
Mm,
in there because I wanted guys to relate that
mm,
God's cares about our marriages. God can restore our marriages. God can
yeah.
do all these things, and even this time in the jungle where we lived in the jungle, built a compound, almost died several times, and like we went out and like that God hopefully gives me another chance. And that producer was so mad at me. I think I broke the guy because in the airplane, I'm sitting behind him in the airplane. I'm literally right behind him, and we're in this bush plane, and we're flying over the jungle. And he says, Todd, don't you dare touch me. Don't you say a word to me. And I have my finger like this on his shoulder. I'm going to touch him. And Andy goes, he grabs my hand and he says, don't do it. Because we would have had a fist fight in a small plane. We would have probably crashed. Like, that's how mad this guy was. But, I wanted my truth to get through. And that truth was, hey, Jesus Christ has done a work in me,
Yeah.
and he's not done yet. And if this is my last line I ever say on this reality TV show, I would be proud for that to be the last line. And that's in season 4, right? Like I've been doing this like 14 years, right? So that's why
Wow.
I don't. That's why I'm fat and I don't have much hair, Virgil. Like I don't have as cool as hair as you do. Yours has even got product in it. Wow, it's pretty nice.
Hey, but you got your beard. You got beard product you could
Oh
use.
boy, look at this. Every before any interview, I go like this. I'm like, just look for Cheerios. Hey, just get the food out of there, Todd.
Todd, I have a question. Todd, I have a question for you because your story I think is really intriguing. Obviously, you have an interesting niche where you're in, the gold world, right? But you're a man of faith, and um, here's my question for you: Did you ever think years ago? Did you ever think that you would be creating these reality TV shows where
Jeez.
you're kind of out there in front, your family's out there in front, and that somehow this could be an instrument that God can use to help people and to bless people.
You don't. I kind of had an idea because I was different. Like, I'm not saying I'm special because I'm not special. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Reality TV isn't good for a lot of people. If you have had,
Right.
like, if you were picked on a lot as a kid, or, and then all of a sudden you're on a reality show, and everybody's telling you, oh, you're great, you're great, you're great. It can change you. And I've had a lot of friends where TV's changed them. The
Wow.
key is to not believe it. This is all baloney, you know. At our peak, we were reaching 300 million people. I did a live video one time and I had 6.6 million live watching. And
Wow.
like, yeah, at our peak, we were in 200 countries in 120 languages. So like, you can go and say, think that you're special or think that you're good. Like, you're not. It's all baloney. It's all BS, because
Mm.
if the main focus is you only have so many years left on this earth, and you better work for the kingdom. You better work for the kingdom. And
Mm.
I fear the Lord. I fear the Lord, and I work for the kingdom. And so a lot of the guys that I reach are not the guys that are in the pews of some of the people that are watching this podcast. So these are my guys. They're out there, and it's dirty. It's a dirty business, and that means, you know, the most problems I've ever gotten were from super Christians that, oh, Todd, you said this or you did that, or you were mean to your kid, and and he's an a-hole because he's mean to you. And it's like, you know I'm like, just watch the show and then look at it as a whole. You'll
Yeah.
understand. We love each other. Not everything makes the cut, like where we're actually encouraging each other, and things like that. That's the things you try to, come on, put some of that in there, some of that restoration in there. But
Yeah.
the most problems I've had are from people that are real legalistic and really,
Yeah.
because I want the guys that aren't going to go to church. I want those guys. I want them to know, hey, man, I struggle with my marriage. Hey, I struggle with my
Mm.
weight. I struggle with my kids. I
Mhm.
mean, my son has a tattoo on the side of his neck. Okay. It's like, that bothers me, right? So like, you know, I, I just want them to know, like, hey, man, I am no different than you out there. And I run a little men's group, and it's just a prayer group, but it is for guys who don't go to church. And
Mm.
I have guys that come in and go, dude, we got to hit the Bible more. We're not hitting the Bible enough. And I'm like, hey, that isn't for this. That's the next step. That's why you're here, is to form a relationship and bring them to church, bring them into a deeper Bible study. But there's an entry point, and that entry point is where I feed you. You come in, and it's designed like an AA group, and that's my heart. I do that every Sunday night out here at my place, and it's very successful. I'd love to have other pastors call me, connect. Virgil, you'll have my contact info.
Yeah.
Contact me, and I will explain to you what I'm doing. I think it's radical because people
Mm.
say they've never seen this kind of a. It's a cross between AA and a Bible study. It's like kind of over here. Yeah.
I think that's cool. I think it's cool. You know what I think? And I think you hit the nail on the head, Todd. I think what resonates most with people nowadays is authenticity. And I think all of us can tell that you're pretty authentic, and I think there's something beautiful and raw about authenticity, which people appreciate, which is probably the reason that you've been able to see success in this area. And I think you're right. I think everybody's not called to the same thing or the same way. We are all part of the body of Christ, but everybody's not the hand, everybody's not the elbow, everybody's not the knee. We're all a different part. How do we do our part? And I admire that about you. I think you've found a very interesting niche, which is hard to get into as a man of as people of faith, which
Mm-hmm.
is the world of production and TV and media. I mean, it's I would say it's highly dominated by people who aren't people of faith, and so I think that the role you play is really really important. Um,
Yeah.
why do you think it's so hard, Todd, as somebody who might understand both sides? Why do you think it's so hard to be in the industry, right? In the, showbiz industry, media, TV, why is it sometimes hard for believers to be in that world and thrive? I'm just curious to maybe some of your thoughts on
Well,
that, because you've been in it for a while.
so I think that it's dominated by, people want to, it's interesting. Like you'll see, people want to see drama. I think it's going the other way. But for a long time, they wanted to see the lowest common denominator. They want to see
Mm,
fights. They want to see this guy throwing a punch at this guy, the drama of the whole thing. Now that men have been beat up the last 4 years, you got all that COVID and you had all this and you had that. And it's like, I think that people are looking for different answers, right? So now you have this age of all these kind of what I call muscle motivator type guys, right? 10x this and that. And a lot of these young men are looking for some kind of hero to follow because, they are kind of lost. And so I think you're seeing that wave kind of come through.
yeah.
But I think that there's going to be some new stuff. I'm seeing an immense amount of guys coming to Jesus, though,
Wow.
like guys that you wouldn't think are accepting Christ. And
Wow.
I think are right now are able to have a big harvest, and they're just blue collar guys. I've baptized several guys in my pool, and I think for the pastors out there is to focus on the men that are really, really struggling right now. Focus on them, put your resources in that direction, and really get those guys because right now they're questioning a lot of things.
Yeah.
They know that the world's kind of getting weird. And so they're asking questions like from guys who actually follow the Lord. So you're going to see, like, the other day, a guy asked, I just put him on the phone. He's a police officer and he was on the phone and you could tell he had a few drinks and he's like, just tell me about Jesus. I've
Wow.
avoided this thing a long time. And he goes, out of my driveway, I got boats, cars, everything. I'm in and I'm in a huge house, and I am totally sad. And I said, man, you are designed. There's a hole in your heart that is
Yep.
designed, and the only thing to fill that is Jesus Christ. And I said but I'm gonna tell you, it is not the easy path.
Mm.
This is the very narrow path. I said, but man, that is where I get my peace of mind. That is where I get my everything, the peace that passes all your understanding. And I said, buying another boat and another car and getting another lady with blonde hair is not going to help. I said, you just freaking, you gotta turn your life over.
Mm.
And now I'm waiting for him he said he'd come and he's going to come to my watered down men's prayer group. And I use that very, very, with a lot of pride, because the more watered down, the more it is easier for a guy to walk in the door and then leave going, that wasn't that bad. You could tell when they come in, they're like, we're all in a circle and they're like, oh, I'm going to have to say something, And then some guy says the F word over there, and you're like, oh, okay. This is a little different, And then some guy talks about his bad marriage, and then he's like, well, okay. He leaves feeling a little bit better about his own situation. So, anyways, it's kind of fun, man. It's a fun group. So,
it sounds uh, you're clear on how God designed you, and in many ways you're doing what He's called you to do. It sounds like you're scratching where the itch is for a lot of people, especially a lot of men, and that's important in today's society. And I think when we read through the Gospels, we see this. This is what Jesus did. He went where the people were,
yeah.
and He loved on them just as they were, and that love transformed them. It impacted them, and I think
Mhm.
that's what you're doing. I would love, Todd, for our audience to get a little bit of a, without giving away anything that you're not supposed to give away, but can you, what can we expect of the new season? It all depends on when people hear this or view this. I know that June, I believe it's June 14th, 2024. So if you're listening to this before, keep an eye out. If you're listening to this after, you got to go check it out. It's Hoffman Family Gold, season number 4. What can we expect?
I think it's season
3. Sorry,
three.
3.
Here,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
but it's at 9 p.m. Discovery Channel or all the Max streaming. Just insane. It was some really great things, but some really hard things too. Hard things that I haven't had to experience and deal with before. So it's once again it's going to be a Hoffman saga that's kind of wild. And so my relationship with my son is it's gotten a lot better. He's down there by you, Virgil. I'd like you to hit him up. He's down in Miami working on some
Uh-huh.
stuff. He's a work in progress. He's kind of a wild animal, but loves Jesus and is really putting some cool things together down there. But I think you're going to see some insane stuff. And if you like gold mining TV, like a lot of people do, you're not going to be disappointed. Discovery loves the series, so let's just say that. Yeah,
The if people say, "Oh, man, I'm loving this season 3," and they want to tap into season 1 and 2, are those also
yeah.
available through
I
those
think you can
sources?
even get those on Amazon too. Max, you can
Cool.
pull them from all over the place. Hoffman Family Gold. You will want to catch up with 1 and 2, and and I do consulting too. If there's any pastors out there that want to learn, like how all this stuff works, how you want to put a show together, because you have so many new platforms that are popping up,
Hmm.
from PureFlix to, you have a lot of platforms. If there's some guys out there that want to launch, I do consult with several large companies too, working on some of their stuff. You'd be surprised, like some big companies.
Hmm.
Well, come on, I'm sponsored by Komatsu a little bit. These guys have decided to come in and support us with a big lease on our equipment but also, I integrate them into the show, which helps everybody. But
Sure.
I do lots of different things. If anybody wants to learn about that, mostly faith people that want to push the faith, I'm willing to go out of my way and try to explain to them how this all works because it's hard to get on TV. It's not an easy game. So I do a lot of that stuff too. Kind
Yeah.
of like what
That's
you do, Virgil. I know you work with a lot of people. So
Yeah, yeah, I love that, and I think it's great that you're not only doing what God has called you to do, but you're open and willing to pour out of that experience, out of that knowledge and everything you've been able to learn to pour it into others. I think that's awesome. For somebody who's leaning in, I think everybody's curious. To probably when they finish or when they get home later today, whenever it is that they're listening to this, that they're gonna go and be like, "I'm gonna let me. Where's that Hoffman Family Gold show?"
yeah.
Uh, what's your ultimate goal with the show, right? If people could take away one thing, what's at the heart of uh, Hoffman Family Gold?
The main thing is just to watch my father and myself, just to know that we love Jesus and that we are not perfect and that we're a work in progress, just like them at home. But we do desire for people to reach out. I've been dealing with a lot of guys with mental health issues. I
Mm,
just did a funeral for my buddy's son, 16-year-old out here. There was 1,000 people at the funeral. He asked me to speak. I got up and lost my train of thought. I looked at my notes and I'm like, I can't. It just was overwhelming to me.
Mm,
He went to a Christian school, and just we have to be very, very careful. Start reaching out and start because of what's going on in the world. It's kind of tripping out a lot of people, and we have to be really sensitive about that right now because guys are committing suicide. I've had two friends
yeah.
now, two of my friends, and one of them was my old roommate from Bible college. He died, and another one of our buddies shot himself. And it's like, I am hearing, I don't know if it's just out here in Oregon because we're kind of rainy. I don't know if it's just because we're gloomy and rainy. I don't,
Mm.
are you, what are you hearing out there in the United States, Virgil? What are you hearing
Yeah,
about?
I don't think it's settled in one region. I think it's nationwide and worldwide. I think when we look at the numbers, the statistics are staggering, and there's so many people who are looking. They're looking for hope. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for significance. They're looking for acceptance. There's so many things but they're looking in all the wrong places, and that's why I think it's important when people like yourself, and a lot of us who lean in, a lot of our leaders in Avail are willing to bring the message in whatever way, shape, or form we can. But Jesus is the answer,
Mhm.
and we're not going to find we're not going to find in relationships. We're not going to find in pleasures. We're not going to find in money or even gold. We're not going to find the satisfaction for our life. And I think it's so important to bring this message, why we believe,
Yeah,
and why there's hope there for so many people, because it's definitely not just in your region.
yeah.
It's all over the place. Even pastors, even people who are leading in ministry have either struggled with the same types of thoughts and sometimes have committed these acts, and it just breaks your heart, and even that's why it's important to bring a message of hope any way we can.
Virgil, I want you to give out my number to any pastor that wants to call me directly on my cell phone and talk to me about my Sunday night at 6 men's group because I don't know if anybody that's doing it, and everybody, we've already branched off. We have one other group that's very successful. I would love to see these nationwide, and if they just want to chat about it, I can explain to them what I'm doing. And I think I'm really, guys get to vent. There's one or two guys already that said that if they hadn't started going to my group, they would have killed themselves. And they're not playing. They're not like,
Wow.
these aren't guys that don't act on these are real business owners, solid, like they would have done it. And it's like, this little group that is weird
Mm,
is an entry point into a Christian walk. And I don't see any churches doing it. And it has to be off campus. It's not at a church. It's in a guy's barn or.
yeah,
But if any of these guys want to call me, I'm going to leave my number. I'll get a hold of Virgil, give him my
yeah.
number, and let's chat. You know what I mean?
I want to throw an idea out there, Todd, for you to pray about and consider. A lot of churches nowadays, including ours, we have a system of small groups, right? And in our church, for example, we have all kinds of small groups: men's groups, women's groups, marriage groups, young adult groups, finance groups, prayer groups, Bible study groups, right? I think it would be amazing if Todd and his team produced a men's group curriculum via videos where I can get a group of guys for my church and say, let's click play, watch these 20 minutes where Todd unpacks maybe some thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's talk about it as men.
Here's
Just
my
because you're in the
here's,
production world.
here's my problem with that. Number one, I'm horrible at public speaking. Okay. Number two, I really don't have anything to say besides that I'm an idiot and then read the Bible. And then number three is once you make it a program, you lost it. This
Yeah.
thing has to be when this guy go, hey, you want to come to my group, my men's group. And they go, "Where's it at?" And they're like, "Well, it's at my buddy's barn." And
Uh-huh.
then he says, "Well, not, I'm too busy. I'm too busy." And then you say, "Well, this guy goes," and he's like, "What?" Yeah, that guy's the biggest partier in my town. Like, he goes, right? And they go. But if it's a program,
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, it's different than what you think. There's all these
Uh-huh.
groups that are great and they're helping people celebrate recovery. There's all these things. And then way over here in left field is Todd's group of idiots, right? That is where I'm finding. If everybody showed up, I'd have 300 men at my
Uh-huh.
group, right? If they all came at the same time, we'd have at least 300 guys. Like, go try to get men to certain things. It's hard, but when you come to my thing, for
Uh-huh.
some reason, it's a brotherhood, and I don't in it, and I don't know what we're doing. I know what we're doing kind of right. It's just different, Virgil. So
I
have them
got
call
I
me if
got
they want one of those oddball groups,
beautiful.
but it has to be outside the church.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It
good.
has
That's
to
good.
be it has to be a guy in the church with a pastor above him, but he
Yeah.
has to stay out of it. You have to have a guy. There's a guy at their church that can pull it off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
So here's what I want to do as we're hitting the final stretch here.
yeah.
Hoffman Family Gold. In a moment, we're going to tell people a little more about how directly they can connect and find out more about that and watch it. But also, I know that there's a project you're working on, Bucket List.
hmm
Uh, are you able to give us a little sneak peek about what that's all about?
Yeah, I mean, it started out with I can't say their name. I'll show you their cup. Start out with these guys. Can you see that, or is it backwards?
I can't see it clearly. Oh yes, I see it. I see it. I see it.
So these guys came up to the mine and we're talking, we're consulting, we're trying to figure out like how do we build something really cool, something different, right? Um, and I'm like, well, we can do this and we can do that, and then I come up with this idea. I'm like, we need to take guys that are dying and we need to take them on their bucket list. We need to
Hmm.
take them out and spend time with them and just get down to the brass tacks. You're dying. Let's go do this. I don't care if it's running of the bulls or you want to go prospect somewhere, and it's funded by a big company that has the resources, and we go out and we get down to the brass tacks of life, the
Wow.
very end, the very last leg of somebody's life, and then we sit around the fire after our adventure, whatever it is, if we're all alive, right? And then we talk like, where are you going to go? Who are you going to where are you going to go when you die, right? Where are you
Right.
going? How are we doing? What do you want people to remember you by? Like, what'd you do wrong? What is something you can tell me that you're like, hey, warn us? You're at the end. Warn us. Like, but then you know what I mean? So these
Yeah.
these,
Yeah.
these very deep, direct questions, right? And then yeah, now you got some serious content. Now you're thinking outside the box. You're a big
Yep.
company and you can't find any place to advertise anymore that's worth a darn. Now you're riding with Todd Hoffman, right? Because I'm good at this stuff, right? So, anyways, these are ideas I'm working on. I already shot the teaser and pitching it around. We'll see what happens.
That's cool. That's
It could
cool.
be a YouTube thing. We don't know.
Yeah. That's cool. Hey, listen, if you ever want to
Yeah.
do some creative like that en español, yo soy tu amigo. I'm your friend. I'm here to help you, okay?
You go down in Mexico, and I walk around, and people know who I am because I'm already dubbed in Spanish. They say I have a deep Spanish voice. The ladies love. No,
Hombre. uh,
grande.
Todd, Todd, this is fun. This has been fun. Is there somewhere if people want to get to know more about you specifically, social media, is there a website? How can they connect with you and your team?
Just at Gold Rush Todd on Instagram and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Gold Rush Todd, Twitter. Um, yeah, on those handles right there.
Beautiful.
I'm okay at it. I'm not great at social media. I have a band. You can hit me up, watch some of my music. Sandy Mule is my band, and we are playing in Walla Walla, and then over in Idaho, State Line. So this weekend, Friday, I'm in Walla Walla Music Fest, and then Saturday, I'm in. You can come listen to my rock and roll, man. So
Keep an ear out, everybody, for Sandy Mule. And regarding Hoffman Family Gold, the best place, I know we've said it a couple times, but let's remind them. I know that depending on when you're listening to this, but season 3 is officially coming out starting June 14th, 2024. Where's the best place to go check that out?
probably any of your streaming. Of course, you're on cable,
Mm-hmm.
Max, on Max, or I think we're even over on Amazon. I'd have to look, but 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and appreciate you being out there, Virgil. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm glad to get back on here and chat with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. I think you've given us a lot to think about, and I think a lot of our audience is leaders, and as leaders, we have influence. And what a beautiful thing it is. I find myself all the time, Todd, recommending to people, whether it's, hey, this book, whether it's this program, this podcast, and now I can say, hey, you got to check out Hoffman Family Gold and see what people of faith are in the real world, and how you can be authentic with your faith, how God made you. I really appreciate that about you. I'll mention this real quick, Todd. We do it every Avail episode. The Avail Journal. This is a Christian leadership magazine. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best. It looks good, it feels good. The content is gold, as far as leadership and people of faith, ministry, marketplace leaders. Hey, if you're watching or listening, availjournal.com, you can try our free trial subscription. I said free trial subscription of the Avail Journal. Go to availjournal.com. Todd, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on. What's a final thought you want to leave on our hearts today? A final encouragement, final nugget.
Man, I think just kind of be aware. Try to stay in because we're all fighting right now. You get up every day. You kind of take your loved ones for granted, and just to try to stay in the present moment. Try to stay present because it's really hard, especially for us dads, to stay present because we have all this stuff on our
Yeah.
mind. We have all this weight on us for trying to pay the bills, and just step back and say, "Hey, man, everybody's still alive. God's, still on the throne. Take a minute, be present, listen. Listen to your family." And I'm talking about myself there. So there you go.
I love that. Hey, that's wisdom right there. Hashtag drop the mic. Todd
Yeah.
Hoffman. Be alert. Stay present in the moment. Don't take your loved ones for granted. Todd, real quick, on behalf of Dr. Sam Chan, Martijn Van Tilburg, that's part of our founders at Avail, our whole team. We just want to take a moment to say thank you for being on the Avail podcast, but also thank you for being who God created you to be. We're proud of you. I think it takes a lot of courage. It takes faith. It takes a gutsy attitude to be out there in a world that's not so easy to be in and represent the kingdom.
Yeah.
We honor you. We're proud of you, and we're cheering you on. And we hope to see that God do some great things even in these next projects you're working on.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Hey, everybody. I hope you've been encouraged by this conversation with Todd Hoffman. You have to check out Hoffman Family Gold, season 3, premiering June 14th, 2024. I encourage you, go back to season 1 and season 2, get in the loop. And as you watch it and enjoy it, share it with friends. You never know when your sharing of something like this can impact their lives to faith and to God. On behalf of Avail, my name's Virgil Sierra, lead pastor of Vertical Church, your host here on Avail. God bless you and keep leading well. Catch you next time on the Avail podcast. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the AVAIL podcast with our guest, Todd Hoffman. Keep an eye out for the new season 3 of Hoffman Family Gold, and stay connected to Todd by following him on social media under the handle @GoldRushTodd. For more leadership resources, check us out at theartofleadership.com. And make sure to claim your free trial subscription of the AVAIL Journal at availjournal.com. As always, I'm your AVAIL podcast host, Virgil Sierra. Muchas gracias. Thank you for connecting with us to learn the art of leadership here at the AVAIL podcast.